scene, right? As you can see, it has the windows, right? And if you look out from the windows, you can still see some props, like the trees, mountains, and the sky dome. So hence, if you were to even do an outdoor environment, right, you will even need all these props to be made. So hence, I feel that it is not suggested. Okay. Move around the scene, right, basically is WASD, right? Okay, so WASD basically will move around the screen. Oh, sorry, right click. Yeah. Sometimes I'm getting you to use the buttons that I forgot. Then I need to right click, and then do the WASD to left, right, front, back. Your camera, right? That will control your camera. Must always do a right click. Okay, class. Okay, class. Okay, Raphael one is already settled. Okay. Okay, Raphael's screen. Let's not concentrate too much on Raphael's screen. Okay. Yeah. And Jinlin's a new computer. Yeah, correct. Okay, so now let's focus on this. Okay. Right. So right click WASD. Right, to look around the scene. Okay, so now this is basically a rendered scene, which combines all the shaders, lightings, and stuff like that. So if you want to look at it without the lightings, right, then you will need to go to this option over here that says unlit. So this will basically remove all the lightings from the environment and just purely look at the textures. Okay. Then after that, of course, is the wireframe mode. So in terms of wireframe, I understand. Wait. Class, can you hear me or not? Can you hear me? Yes, right? Okay. How come Rachel cannot hear? Yeah, there is sound. I am talking now. Yeah. Okay. So anyway, right, if let's say you were to look at this scene at the wireframe mode, you realize that it's actually very confusing, right? So this wireframe mode basically is intended to look at it individually, right? So what I can do is, for example, if I want to look at this statue in wireframe, I can first select it, right? On the right is basically the world outliner, right? This one. Okay, world outliner. Basically, this is like the scene explorer in 3D Max, right? Where it records all the meshes as well as the lighting and the post-process volumes, etc. Okay, so if you want to isolate this, you will need to right-click, visibility, and show only selected. Okay, take note of this shortcut key Control H, right? That is to end isolation. So click on show only selected, then you'll be able to see just that model itself. And Control H to end isolation. Right. Okay, then next would be the detailed lighting, right? Basically, detailed lighting disables all the textures. Then you can only see the normal map, right, in the scene. So for example, right, this is a normal map, right? These details on this pillar is actually normal map. If you look at unlit or if you look at wireframe, right, you can see, right, it's basically just a pillar. Right, it's just a very simple pillar. Right, of course, this kind of decoration, right, you need polygons. Same goes for the bottom, especially it's near the player. You need polygons to do it. Right, so things that is flat looking, I mean, as in when you want to look at it and you don't really see the bumps as accurately as you need polygons to represent, you can actually use normal map to do it for you. Right. Control H is to end isolation. Isolate is basically right click, right? Right click on the mesh, go to visibility, and show only selected. If you need to add in any shortcut key yourself, right, then you will need to configure it yourself. Yeah, I usually don't, so I just simply use this show only selected. Yep. Then yeah, let me continue. So lighting only will basically disable all the normal maps, and you will just focus on looking at the lightings. Reflections. Right, so reflections is how this scene is reflected, right, based on the reflection captures. What are reflection captures? So if you look at this kind of small sphere over here, right, this basically defines, right, this basically defines the area of reflection, right? That means you can see this sphere, right? Whatever is reflecting is within this radius only, right? I think this is also enabled by others. Some not very obvious because this sphere reflection, right, combines a smaller area of radius and a bigger area of radius. Like for example, this areas is rather big, right? So basically, it's reflecting this area. So if maybe if I just remove everything, right? If I remove all the sphere reflection radius, right, you can see that the room is especially bright. Okay, why? Why do you think it's so bright now? Why do you think it's so bright now? Anyone can guess? Yes, very good, right? Now says reflects the sky. Very good, right? So if you don't have all these sphere reflection radius, right, that defines this area where it's only reflecting this area, this radius, right? You will basically bounce or rather take reference from the next nearest points of reflection, which is in this case the sky. Right, so hence defining the sphere, the reflection sphere radius is relatively important. You don't need to go into so detail first, right? I mean, as in I'm just explaining you in brief, right? Later on, I mean, in future lessons, I will get through this again, right? I'll go through this again, but just take note that this sphere that you see over here, right, are the sphere reflection radius that defines the radius of reflection. Okay, so then what kind of materials requires reflections? Obviously, like those, yes, metals, mirrors, glass, right, all this. So if you don't define area of reflection for it, right, basically it will just reflect the sky. So hence, in these kind of areas, especially, you will need to define the area, the reflection radius by adding a sphere reflection. Yeah, by adding a sphere reflection. Yeah. Correct. Yeah, all these are answers, right? So you still remember we talked about PBR, right? In 225. So those materials that has roughness disabled means smoother surface, right? For those that has like roughness value with 1, those that have no reflection at all, right? Those you probably don't need to care. But I mean, most of it, right, comes with a mixture of metals and non-metals. right? So hence, you need to pay attention to this. So next, we talk about the player after reflections will be the player collision, right? So you can see it's now very simplified, right? It's made up of very simple boxes, right? These are colliders. So when I hit play and when my player run against the wall, it's able to prevent me from going past the wall. Okay, why is this so? It's because of colliders. This, right? This is a colliders that is disabling the player to walk across it. Right, so I will talk about colliders in week 3. Visibly collision means that if you don't have those simplified collision, I mean boxes collision, right, that defines where the player, where is blocking the player. This is the visibly collision, right, where it basically just gives you the silhouette of that model, right, tell you that this is the actual collision, right, the amount of polygons that are needed if you didn't do any simple collision. Okay, why you are still running through walls is because you need to hit play. Because if you don't hit play means that you are now in a spirit mode. You are now in a ghost mode, right? You can hit walls and things like that. But you need to hit play in order for you to be in a human form. Then after that, you can start hitting walls. Yeah. Okay. Next, optimization mode, right? I won't go too much in details. Right, but this light net density is something that I want to highlight. Right, so light net is something that you would need to do, right, in terms of UV, where the Unreal will basically make the lighting information, including lighting as well as shadows, into a form of light maps defined by the UVs in your object, right? Green areas means that it's good. Blue areas might be a bit too low res. Red would be very defined. That means the resolution for the light net is very defined. Yeah, and so on. Right. Interestingly, right, these red areas actually should be somewhere where we can see one. Technically speaking, it's quite a waste to put it over here, right? Because being red means the resolution of the light net is relatively high. Right, light means light net relatively high means that you are not really optimizing your scene that much in terms of the light net. Okay, so yep, so these are the various optimization view modes you can see. Right, light complexity, no, it's fine. So right, shader complexity affects your frame rate. If only something like this would be okay, right? So things like transparency, alpha would make it look red, right? Make it drop a bit. But this is not so, okay, I can see, right? If I move between these two intersections, statue turns a bit red already, right? That's because this and this is transparent or translucent. Overlapping or index, right? Looking through it, the statue actually is green. It's not that affected, right? Only when translucency, then the what do you call that? The shader starts to turn back in terms of complexity, right? And I think that's about it for portion. Right, so show I didn't really use that much as well. I think we will go through, we'll just stick with default. Anything special, right, I will let you all know in future classes where we talk more about the lighting, right? Lighting, I will talk about this portion more. Okay, so just stick with default. Right, so in Unreal, basically acts like 3D Max. You can actually see them in orthographic views, right? Like top, bottom, left, front, and back. Right? You can click on one to focus on that view, or you could also minimize it or maximize it, right? To look at them in full view, in the four views. You can also, bring this content browser lower a bit, word outliner to the right a bit, and things like that to make the screen bigger. Right? There is also a full view called the immersive mode, which is toggled by F11. You get the full view of this viewport. That will be the immersive mode, just like the expert mode in 3.0 Max. Okay, so let me toggle back the perspective and lead. Okay, so you may also check the FPS of your screen. This is highly dependent on your graphics card that you have on hand. Right, mine is running at green color 100 over FPS. Yeah, which is actually very ideal when running this stage. Right, so if your graphics card is not so good, right, it will be reduced to a rate. Nicholas is over here, right? Click on this arrow button over here, arrow down button. Click on this and then click on show FPS. Okay. Usually, if you use dynamic lightings, right, this FPS will turn red. Let me check. Right, as you can see, all the lighting are now using static or stationary. Oh. Wow, that means my graphics card quite good. Okay, because technically, if let's say you change your lighting into movable, right, which is dynamic lightings, frame rate should be affected, should turn lower. Right, so hence we'll be using static or stationary lighting instead of movable for this assignment. Right, so it's over here. Let me just show you this again. Okay, clear so far? It's yeah, correct. It is quite dependent on graphics card. So hence, if you have a good graphics card, you should be running at 100 and above FPS. Right? For example, Chinling has no problem. Should have no problem running at above 100. Okay, that's fine, right? If you are running 50 to 60. I mean, for this scene is relatively big, right? So maybe your scene, right? See, is so big. Okay, so anyway, back to this. Okay, back to this. Okay, don't get distracted again. Wow, Rachel, I want to start something again. Okay, later we'll talk about Chinlin's new computer. Okay, I know all of us are very excited about it. Yeah, anything new is always very exciting. Okay, so now I've already finished talking about this in general, right? Over these few commands in general, functions in general. Right? We'll talk about this panel over here. Okay, so whenever you click on an object, means that basically you are selecting it. Common sense, right? So if you select it, basically it will enable you to see this gizmo, right? Where it defines where you want to move the object, X, Y, or Z. Right? So the next button to it will be the rotate. So it's the same as the 3D Studio Max, right? Where WER serves as the shortcut key. Okay, WER serves as the shortcut key for move, rotate, and scale. Okay, now next to it, right, would be the coordinate system. Okay, so what do you mean by coordinate system, right? Still remember in 3D Studio Max, right, we have the axis, right, the coordinate axis, where you have the option to switch between local view, screen, and Zapalang, right, a lot of the options. But however, in Unreal, basically, it only gives you two options. One is the world axis, the other is the local axis. Notice that the character, right, I mean, this statue, right, the gizmo changes as I switch this icon over here, right, this coordinate system over here, right. So this cube, when it's enabled, is the local coordinate system. If I left click on it, you'll basically switch to the world coordinate system. Right. Besides using the WER, you can also use spacebar, right, to toggle these two coordinates. No, yeah, spacebar to coordinate. If you have toggled it to do the transformation, right, the rotation or scaling, right, you can also use the space. Basically, spacebar is a toggle mode, right? Spacebar is a toggle mode between these three transformation mode over here, right? Besides using the WER, right? Okay, so in terms of, like, for example, you want to scale this at the local axis, it's easier, right? You can do it this way instead of doing it in the world axis. Oh, cannot. This one cannot turn to. Right. So in terms of movement also, right, if you want to move it along this diagonal axis, you can actually toggle it to the local coordinate system and move it along this axis. Right, so this is useful in this context. Now, next to it, right, next to this box over here, the coordinate system box, right, is the snapping option, right, snapping options. So it's very simple. The first one basically is the snapping options for move. The second one will be the snapping options for rotate. The third one will be the snapping options for scaling. So for example, if I want this to be moved at a higher snap interval, so say for instance, I change it from 10 to 100. So notice that it is now moving at a higher snap distance compared to just now, where it is more fluid. If I change to 5, you can see that the movement of this translation tool is now more fluid compared to one that is at a higher snap value. So same goes for rotation, right? So as you toggle to a rotation mode, right, you could toggle it at higher degrees, like where you will basically rotate at every 90 degrees. So scaling, I shall not elaborate. Basically, it's the same, right? Just the scale options. Okay, so if you want a bigger increment, right, basically you just click on 10 and it will, you need to activate the right option, because even if you change this, right, and you are in rotation mode, right, it basically doesn't scale, right, it doesn't scale up. You need to switch it to scale, and then you will then see the change or the snap being reflected clearly. Okay, so by default it's 0.5. Okay, the last one will be this camera speed. This is super useful, right? Usually I always use it, right? So camera speed is 4 by default, right? Which is the normal zooming in and out, right? Or moving a camera around, I would say moving a camera around. Okay, so if you want to quickly zoom out to see the exterior in this case, right, you will basically just click on this button and scroll towards the right, where you increase the camera speed, and just by a small press of the S key, right, will be able to let me see the whole overview of the exterior environment. So same thing, right? If I want to zoom in to details, like for example, I want to see whether the normal map is being mapped correctly on that face or not, right? Then I will basically slow down my camera angle and then just go more in detail. This allows more control, right, as I reduce the speed of my camera. But at the same time, it is very slow if I want to zoom out quickly. Yeah, you can also do that, right? Use the middle mouse to, to move faster or slower, right? Middle mouse scroll also can. Okay, right. So if you want to like zoom in, zoom out, right? Basically, it's the middle mouse button, right, where you scroll upwards to zoom in, scroll downwards to zoom out. Right. If you want to move the camera to zoom in, right, you need to right click and press W, right, to move the camera forward. S to move the camera backwards. Yep. So as I mentioned, to control the camera speed is over here, right? This will control your camera speed. I think I did include some of the popular shortcuts in my 399 Moodle page. So these are some of the more popular shortcuts that I use. So might be useful to you. So you can take a look at it. Okay, yeah. Another thing is this. Okay, so I finished this, right? Another thing is this. Right now you are in basically the game editor mode. So the game editor mode, right, will enable you to see all these icons, including the camera, the sphere reflection, captures, and all these light bulbs, right? So to toggle it completely, basically you just need to press G, right? G on your keyboard to toggle it on and off. Okay, so when you're doing environment, right, you also have to take note how you are going to build the top, right, the ceiling. Okay, it's not going to be made out of just one blank polygon, right? It consists of pillars and beams, right, supporting beams to support the ceiling from collapsing, right? So you must have all these details as well, right? Not just a plain looking ceiling. Okay, any questions so far? Okay, so if not, right, I shall do a quick description on what you see over here as I scroll from left to right, right? The shortcut toolbar, right? So save current obviously is to save the current map. Usually for me, I use save all, right? Save all the assets and the map together at the same time. Source control, I seldom use. I didn't use at all. Yeah, it's not even. I think it's connecting to a network where you can basically share your files with other people, like within your team. This one is not applicable in this assignment. Okay, so for the third one, it will be the content browser. Content browser basically is this browser over here, right, where you can undock it, close it, and to display again, right, just click on this. You will bring this up and dock it below again, right? This is the content browser. I'll talk about the content browser later, right? But just let me finish the shortcut buttons. Okay, marketplace basically is the launcher, right? In the Epic, okay, at the Epic launcher, basically there is this. Now I reduce my screen, all the caps turn bigger. Yeah, okay, anyway, right, the marketplace is referring to this tab over here, right? Where you can get your free games or not free games, right? Measures, no, you cannot get measures and textures materials here, okay? You have to create your own, okay? So, yeah, usually, right, what I do is sometimes I will go to learn and then I will download some of the tutorials that they uploaded, right? Sometimes to see how they do the effects and things like that. So it's a good reference for you, right? Just do some reverse engineering if you're stuck in some material that you are not able to get the look, the kind of look. Then you may just go to the reflections scene, download their reflection scene and see how they do their reflection and things like that in that scene. So it serves as a good reference, but not something you can use directly. Okay? Yeah, let me go back here. Okay, settings basically will be the world and project settings. This I will not go through in. Okay, that's because I will go through it little bit by little bit, details along the way during my lessons. Okay, but just need to take note. What you need to take note now is basically these three things over here, right? Engine scalability settings basically is set to cinematic by default. So if you want to improve the frame rates, like what Raphael says, right? How to increase it to 120 frames? Easy. Change it to low quality. Okay, that will improve your frame rates by a lot. Okay, or another alternative is to change your graphics card. Okay, basically these are the two alternatives. Secondly, right, the material quality level, right, it allows you to switch between low, medium, and high. By default, it's also at high, so you can see everything at the highest quality as possible. Preview rendering level, do not change it, right? Just stick to the with the shader modified, right? Okay. Yep. It takes a while because it's basically recompiling the shaders to make it suitable to be in the low frame rate. Yeah, you could turn off several settings to make the frame rate better. Okay, so these are just some of the suggestions. Yeah, correct. Okay, why carriers regret after changing low? It's because obviously if you change low, the quality would be very low because it disables a lot of reflections and those shaders functions, right? Which actually eats up a lot of the graphics card memory, right? Unless bopian, right? Unless bopian. I didn't press. Hey, what you press? Say unless bopian, then you change it to low. Okay, but anyway, right? If you can run cinematic, just run cinematic. Oh. Okay. Right. So anyway, it's okay. It's okay, right? Because I'm going to finish already. Okay. So next, right? We have this mega scan link. Already fast forward. They ask you all to press, but you all go and press. Okay. Okay. Anyway, right? I will proceed. You all just look at the screen. You all just look at the screen. It's fine. You all just look at the screen first. Okay. Right. Yes, Nick, you don't have the mega scan button. It's because I didn't ask you all to install. Only when you install the mega scan plugin, then you have this button. So it's fine to have it. By default, don't have it. It's fine. Okay. So for blueprints, basically, as I mentioned earlier, right? Blueprints is a place where basically you will add in some programming instructions to trigger an event. For example, if a character approaches a door, the door opens, something like that. Okay, or maybe he press a switch, then suddenly the lights is switched on. Right? When you press a switch, the light is switched on. This is also a self instruction. Okay, so you add all these instructions in the blueprint, right? Cinematics will be used for doing your video. Video build. Okay, for build, right? This build is you have two options. Either you build lighting or you build the geometry. Right? Build geometry or build lighting only. Okay, so why do you need to build? Why do you need to build lighting? Right, so carriers have already tested it for you. Right, if you do the low resolution, in low resolution basically looks like potato. Okay, thanks carriers for volunteering the test. Okay, but yes, correct. Wei Chen got it correct, right? So if you build lighting means that you are building all the information into maps called light map. Right, so if you are all using movable lighting, which is the movable lights, right? Dynamic lighting, you do not need to build lighting. But in this assignment, you are not. Because as I mentioned, right, you need to optimize your screen. You need to optimize your scene. So hence, movable lighting is not allowed. Either stationary and or static. Okay. And also, if you use all movable lights, right, you will not be able to bake ambient occlusion into your model as well. So also a disadvantage. So that's why, right, people would prefer to use stationary lights over movable lights sometimes because stationary lights inherits some of the properties from movable lights. At the same time, you can build you can bake ambient occlusion into the light maps. So stationary has the mixture of both static and movable lighting properties. Right. This in details I will talk about it during the lighting lesson. Just telling you in general. Okay, so lighting quality you can either choose preview, medium, high, and production. So obviously, production will take the longest time to build. So hence, when you're just testing your lighting where it looks whether it looks bright enough here, whether it looks dim enough here, etc., you just need to preview quality build would do. Okay. Yeah. So build geometry, if you have changed the geometry and then you feel that somehow it doesn't reflect the way that you think it will appear, right? Then you build geometry just to reflect. Okay, usually, right? Usually, build lighting only would do, right? Or just hit build, right? Then you will build everything all together, right? Okay, so that's about build. And when you hit play, it's what Claire has mentioned, right? Earlier, why she can still go through walls, floors, ceilings, etc. Because just now he was still in the user mode, the game mode, right? So hence, by moving WASD, she can actually navigate anywhere without the collision being enabled. However, in play mode is different. Right now, you are in player mode, right? Player mode. So hence, you are able to go up the staircase, being blocked by these pillars, and not being able to reach very far up, even though you press W, right? So hence, that is play, right, where you can basically pause, stop, and eject. You can also choose to play in a separate window, right? By default, it's a selected viewport, or you can choose a new editor window to play in, just like this. So when you choose the new editor window to play in, just need to press escape on your keyboard to totally exit out from that editor window. Okay, so that's about play. Okay, launch basically is to launch your game, right, in what kind of format, iOS or desktop format. Right, these I will not go through also, but that is where you will launch your environment, okay. Okay, so over here, I have also talked about, right, the World Outliner already just now. So just works the same way as the Window Explorer or the Scene Explorer, right, in 3C Max. Okay. Now I'm talking about this panel below it, the details and world settings panel, right? World settings basically is very straightforward. It's the same as the settings over here, right? World settings. So it's a shortcut tab to this. Okay. So for details, now it's empty. It's because I haven't select anything yet. So for example, once I select, for example, this statue, right? All the details comes up, right? This is where you will assign the material to this statue or the model accordingly. You may also change the model, right? By selecting any model, like for example, I don't want this statue anymore. I want a tree, maybe a tree instead. So I click on the tree and I click on this button over here that says you selected accept. And then the statue will be changed to a tree like this. Okay, right. So this is just an example where basically you will be able to make use of this details tab to assign material or to assign or to change the props to replace the prop that you want, right? This panel. Of course, there are more than this, which if I go through individually, it will take up a lot of time. Right now, no, right? I won't go through that much, but just take note that it has all the property parameters in this tab. Okay, so moving downwards would be the content browser, right? After this content browser, maybe shall we go for a break? Okay, maybe after this content browser, go for a short 5 minutes break, so everybody can at least test what I have taught earlier, right? So content browser is relatively straightforward as well, right? So you will basically drag and drop. It will contain basically all your meshes, your materials, your textures, everything, right? What is different from these and the World Outliner, right? Because it is that here, right, don't have all the materials, textures, and other things that you might need or you are using in the environment. Things like textures, VFX, all this may not be. Or VFX, yes, there is, but the particles, individual particles itself that you use, it will not go into this kind of details in the World Outliner, whereas you can find that details over in here. Okay, so later on, I will, basically that's it for the content browser, right? You can, I think we will know more as we do the blockout demonstration later afterwards. Okay, that's where you can import all your 3D model into the content browser, and then after that you just place the model into the scene like this, or like this. Okay, so basically this is content browser. Right, so we go for a short 5 minutes, then after that I'll go through these panels over here. Okay? Yep. By the way, all of you can see this panel or not? Or am I using 4.24? Oh, I think I'm using 4.24. Okay. So, okay, I know you don't have because of 4.25 thing they didn't put it there. Okay, so okay, I tell you what, we will go for 10 minutes break. 10 minutes break. Right, 10 minutes break. So we come at 3:20, right? So for this 9 to 10 minutes, right, I want you to explore using the things that I have shared with you, right, earlier, right, which includes looking at the word settings, details, content browser, how you navigate, or rather change the translation using all these buttons over here. Okay, how I navigate by controlling the camera speed and things like that. Check out these modes also. Okay. Right. Let me open up 4.25. Yes, Raphael is correct. Right. Modes over here. Okay, the end. Your question. Are there any limitations or objections when creating VFX for environment? There are no limitations because I think it's still within, it won't affect the frame rate that much. Yeah, correct. So it should be okay. However, for water, right, usually they use a material shader to do it. It's not really using Niagara. Yeah. Fire, yes, you can use Niagara to do it. Anyway, what do you call that? My lesson on using Niagara will be teaching you how to do fire and smoke, right? Using Niagara. I think I had a heavy lunch. Feel a bit like sleeping. Cannot lah! What neck break? No, 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 cannot. Hey! I think I started something I shouldn't have started. Yeah, but now I haven't seen your work also. Huh? You're extra sleepy. Play games, right? More likely. Then do the research. Okay, Raphael, you're correct, right? So there's no way that you can put it into the modes button like this. Because right now I think they incorporate it into the as a plugin kind of format. I think by default in 4.25 is already a button like this. Okay, later I'll show the class what's the yeah. Okay, 320. Welcome back. All right, so let's continue. Okay, so now I'm going to talk about everything looks good. Okay, so now I'm going to talk about this button, or rather these tabs over here. Right? Okay, don't be alarmed that you cannot see all these tabs, because in 4.25 they actually remove it and then they put it as a separate button on the shortcut panel, shortcut buttons panel. Right, I'll show you a difference. Right, the one that has the Mega Scan plugin, right, is 4.24. The one that doesn't have it is the 4.25. Both of them open up the Sun Temple. Right, so the only difference is, as you can see over here, right, in 4.24 it has all these modes. Right, so in 4.25 they actually put in to the modes button here. Okay, so I will describe briefly, right, what does all these four buttons, the other four tabs mean. Okay, so I shall just close my 4.24 and open up my 4.25. Okay, so the shortcut keys, right, to enable placing actor and the rest of the modes, right, is basically shift 1, 2, 3, and 4. Shift 2 and 4. Come to this brush editing. Okay, so if you forgot, basically it's all here, right, on the shortcut button. So let's go to shift 2. It's basically the landscape mode where you can basically sculpt mountains, right, along this big plane of terrain over here. So if you click on create, right, you'll be able to use your brush to sculpt mountains like this. Right, so this is the landscape mode. Okay. However, as you can see over here, right, this creator chooses to use the polygons to do it. Okay, why? Is because this one con of using this landscape mode, right? Yeah, the con of using this landscape mode, right, is because it is very dense. It's going to be very dense. So hence, if you use polygon to do this kind of topology instead, right, it will be more cost effective. You use lesser polygons to do it. Say for instance, as you can see, I switched from leads to wireframe. I can see that it only consists of this kind of polygon level to make out the details. Whereas if you were to paint it like this, you can see that in terms of the polygon level, right, the amount of pixelation, you see that so different, right? This is so dense and this is so optimized. So hence, people would rather do it in 3D Max or Maya, right, and then import it as a separate prop and then put it as an object to be used in field of view, field of distance. Okay, so yeah, when you leave the map boundary, you can definitely see all these kind of lobang. That is correct. That is correct, definitely. But however, right, because for this purpose, right, for that mountain's purpose, right, is actually very far away, right? You get restricted by these boundaries. Yeah, you get restricted by the room boundaries. So hence, you still, even though there are gaps right in between the mountains, you are not able to see it visibly, right? Correct. Yes, correct. So hence, right, it's very effective. You see, even if you have those gaps, right, it's actually blocked. Maybe it has, but it's blocked by the nearby items like this. Oh, exit mode, you basically just go to the first mode, or exit it completely. Okay, any other questions? Okay, lighting needs to be reviewed, right? It's because whenever you move an object, like for example, if I move it here, right, you can see that there's this error that says lighting needs to be reviewed, right? So when you control Z and it shift back to the original position, right, then the message will disappear. Why is it so? It's because whenever you move an object, right, means that basically, right, you will need to rebuild the lighting in order for the light maps to be baked accurately in that location, in the new location. So hence the message asks you to rebuild the lighting. That's what the error message wants. Right. So for example, right, as you can see over here, do you see that the structure is actually darker than when I move it towards the left? Right. That is because at this position, right, the lighting is being baked into texture maps into this model already. So when it's in the new location, right, nothing is built here because you need to perform the building in order for Unreal to process. It's like rendering, right? It needs Unreal to render out this statue in the new location, right? Okay, so I explained myself already regarding this error message. Okay. Next would be other modes, right? Will be the foliage mode, right? Where the shortcut key is F3. So foliage, right? I won't elaborate. I think can I? Let me see if I can grab some assets. Right, so you can see foliage. Okay, what do you think is this tool used for, class? You see, I put this shield inside here, and then I start to paint it. What is it useful for? Yes, very good, Gordon. Correct. Right. To populate things, regardless. Grass is a good example, right? Trees or things like that to make the placement look random, right, across a surface. That is what foliage is used for. Okay. Now next we'll talk about brush editing. Okay, with mesh paint. Mesh paint is vertex painting. I don't have any examples on the vertex. Wait, do you paint any vertex? Okay, anyway, the vertex painting, right, is basically you make use of vertices, right? Make use of vertices of your model and then paint color to it, right? In this case, can I shift one first? I don't have. Don't have. Okay, so for example, just for example, right, if I want to make use of the existing vertex over here, I paint an orange color so that this color will be permanent, right? I can make use of the mesh paint method to do it for me, right? Alternatively, if I want to paint dirt, right, on the ground. So hence, right, I have a base layer, like maybe soil, and then I have another secondary material that is grass, right? So I could use the what do you call it? I can use the mesh paint to paint patches of grass, right, around the soil, on the soil, right? So then the soil would not look very plain, just soil only. So I can make use of this brush and make use of the vertices information and then just paint the grass around, something like that. Okay. Then next will be the brush editing tool, right? Which we will talk about it in detail later, right? But for now, it's basically just a tool that you use to adjust to make changes to the brush that you have over here, right? So in Unreal, you will want to place. They don't do like something like 3D Studio Max where you go over to you still create standard primitive. Example, a box. That's where you can see these kind of vertices, right, within this box. This is basically a brush, right? In Unreal context, it's called a brush. Then after that, you'll go to this brush editing and move, right, the vertices like this way, right? So this is where the brush editing mode is useful for. Okay, right? So yep, I have explained all of it, right? And is there any other questions? It can extrude, but it's a little bit mafan. I will share with you why lah. Later when we do some simple mesh editing, brush editing in Unreal, then you'll know that 3D Max is so much better. Okay, Nicholas, you need to left click and drag this box into the scene. All right. Let me check. Okay, if there's no questions, right? In a way, right, brush editing is just like the modified panel in your 3D Studio Max, where you basically adjust the primitive by using vertices, edges, and faces. Yes. Your box shining brighter than your future. Your future, this one I don't know how to comment. Your box is brighter than your future. Okay, anyway, let's proceed in creating a brand new project. Yes, correct. We will block the boxes in Unreal and bring it to frame Studio Max to model. Correct. Okay, why not like this? Why not like this? Let's proceed first, right? Let's proceed first. This scene is probably a bit too cluttered, right? This scene is a bit too cluttered. Okay, let's start a new scene. Okay, let's start a new scene. Okay. Okay, Jinin, it's okay to feel lost now. Okay, we will go through so right when we are doing the new project. Okay, let's close Sun Temple. Okay, now I want you to launch 4.25. Yes, correct. Okay, now you probably dread one object crash and things like that. It's probably because you are in the wrong mode, or maybe your laptop is not able to support that scene or something like that. I'm not very sure. So now we start off with a brand new one where you have much lesser objects and it'll be clearer. Okay? Yeah, so let's just all close. Right, let's all just close the Sun Temple and then launch 4.25. Okay, so when you start a new project, right, I want you to start with the games category. Click on next. I don't want to start with blank is because I want the first person blueprint to be in my project. Right, because if I start with blank, right, basically it's just like a spirit mode. You cannot go into the first person. So through this process, right, you'll be able to make use of the first person blueprint rather immediately in your this assignment. Okay, so let's choose first person template and press next. Okay, right now everything remains the defaults, right? Default should be no starter content. Okay, not include the starter content, otherwise it will eat up a lot of your hard disk space. Okay, now next is to select a location for your project to be stored. Right, so you will just locate one location. Okay, maybe I just put in lesson 1 level. No, just CG399 score name. Okay, you can put CG399 underscore your own name. You can don't follow me. Double click and select the folder. And create project. Right, so this will be the first person template, where when you click on this button over here at the bottom left corner, right, you will be able to see more in details. Right, I know that's what I'm about to say. Right, so as mentioned, right, what Raphael said, when you go to play, you'll be able to shoot the boxes. Okay, and what's so fascinating is you can actually control the mass of this box. Right, so this is a very heavy box, isn't it? It looks heavy. So if I enable this mass in kg and I reduce the mass to like maybe 10, and then when I hit play again, And if this time around I shoot the box, it is not that heavy anymore, right? So it goes by physics, right? It has the physics property in it already. Okay, right. So this is something that you might find it interesting. It's over here, physics. Okay, can you see? So basically, you can define the weight of that object. Yeah. So yeah. Okay. So once we are here, right? Let's create a new stage, new environment. Right. From here. So let's go to File, New Level. Okay, now I want you to select the empty level and do not save this stage. Aha. So now cannot click already. Okay, nothing for you to click. No boxes or nothing, it's just pitch black. Yes. Okay, now we are God. Okay, we are now in God mode. Seriously in God. Okay, now let's bring in the sky. Okay, so in search classes, I want you to search BP sky sphere. Alright. Next, I want you to add in a directional light. Right. So I know what I want to add already. That's why I can just key in the search bar over here. Right. It's actually in here, right, under lights tab, where you can just left click and drag in the directional light into the scene. Okay. Then after that, in order to change the sky color, right, you need to create a relationship between the sky and the directional light. Okay, so I need to click on the BP sky sphere. From this directional lights tab, right, I will need to change it from none to directional light. Okay, so I have established a connection between these two already, right? You can, like for example, if you want it to be nighttime, right, basically you just change to point the light direction upwards, so that when you click on this BP sky sphere again, and you click on refresh material, it's able to give you a rather night scene. Right. So for example, in orthographic view, I turn the direction of the light upwards, and then I click on the BP sky sphere and refresh material. It gives me a night scene. It gives me a night, what do you call it, sky environment. Okay. So different environment has different settings. You can control the star's brightness, for example, super bright like this. Obviously not. Just trying to show you that you can make the stars brighter and things like that. Okay. Okay, now let's go back to daylight. How come when I point out, I still get evening? Yeah, when you point out, it's evening, correct. When you point down, then it's daylight. Yeah, when you point down, then it's daylight. Right, you point down, you make sure that you are clicking, you are selecting, sorry, you're selecting the BP sky sphere. Okay, class, listen up. You need to refresh the material. You need to refresh the material, right? So in the world outliner, you have to select the BP sky sphere. Okay. Then click on the refresh material. Just click on then do you rotate this button? Okay, then okay, just one last, okay, so something to take note, right? This directional light option in your BP sky sphere must be pointing to the directional light. Okay, so select your BP sky sphere, and then under this default tab, right, under this default tab over here, right, under this directional light, make sure that it's pointing to your directional light. Yep. So once you link it, and then when you rotate this directional light and you click back your sky sphere and hit refresh, the sky color should change. Okay. Okay. Anyway, right. Let's just move on. Okay. So okay, class. When you try to zoom out, right, you would think that you didn't see the sky sphere, but actually, right, it's super big, super big. Right. So how do you emphasize on looking at the sky sphere? Right. How do you quickly focus on it? Right. Focus is the keyword. Right. So now I want you to click on the BP sky sphere. Do not do this on your perspective. Okay. Do not do this. Want you to in any of the orthographic view, press F. Right. You press F. Right. This is how big that the sky sphere is being created. Okay. And then if you press directional light and press F again, right, you'll go back to the to focus on the directional light. Right. So F is a shortcut key to focus on selected object. Okay. So take note of these. Okay. Now, next, we'll talk about brushes. Right. We'll talk about brushes, and now we're talking talk about blocking already. So class, pay attention here. Okay. So in geometry, let's pull out a box. Alright, geometry tab, pull out the box. With a left click and drag the box out into the viewport like this. Okay. Then after that, we'll reset the location from this current location to 0. Okay, so can anyone tell me what is the shortcut key to zoom into the object? Thank you very much. Yes, F. For some reason, it feels like it's a vulgarity. Okay. Okay, anyway, right, if let's say, for example, we're going to use this box to create a floor tile, okay, of 5 meters, okay, I'm going to create a floor tile of 5 meters in dimension. So what I do is basically I will scroll down until I see these brush settings. Okay, so in Unreal, right, all the units are counted as centimeters by default. Okay, so right now it's 200 centimeters, which is 2 meters by 2 meters by 2 meters. Okay, so if I were to change it to 5 meters, it would be 500 by 500, and obviously I won't have a very thick floor tile, right? So maybe I'll just change it to 5. Okay, so I have a thin floor tile like this. Okay, so like the previous assignment, previous assignment have 225, don't have, right? Yeah, 225 didn't talk about pivot points, right? Didn't talk about pivot points, right? But for this, it's important that we define the pivot points correctly. Okay, so in terms of the floor tile, I would prefer the pivot point to be flush at one of the corners over here. Okay, so by left clicking on one of the vertices, I should be able to bring my pivot to be snapped at this vertex. But why it cannot now? Why can't it do it now? Why I cannot move the pivots to this point? Plus, why I cannot move the pivot to this point? Yes, yes. Yes, as in because we are still in selection mode, right? Aisha got it correct. So in order to change it to mesh editing, right, we need, what's the shortcut key for mesh editing? Shift 4, not Shift 2, 3, Shift 4. Right, so in Shift 4, when we are in the mesh editing mode, right, we will then be able to do a left click on the corner vertex, or vertex, right, corner vertex. Then we need to do a right click, select pivot, and set as pivot offset. Right, so by doing so, this pivot is then saved at this location. Right. So in order to create a mesh from this brush so that I can go to 3D Max and edit it and probably come back here again, I will need to make this into a mesh. Right, I'll need to make this into a mesh. Right, so I will expand this brush setting and click on create static mesh. Right, so to create static mesh, basically, okay, Benedict is who? Yeah, I want to ask, who is Benedict? Is it Geoffrey? Benedict Neo? Is it? Eh? Okay. Huh? Okay, so is Benedict. Okay. Okay, long. You all like, oh, make it so confusing. Okay, anyway, right. So, well, I lost track. Okay, so we need to save in a location to store all the meshes. Okay, we need a location to store the meshes. So let's click on cancel first. Okay, now upon clicking on content folder, right? I want you to add a new folder, right? Click on add new folder. So I want you to meshes, right? Okay, this should be the main folder, right? CG399, your name. Right, let's create a new main folder first. Then inside your main folder, we will then create subfolders, right? Like for example, meshes. Well, sometimes the chat a bit distracting. Okay, meshes. Then after that, texture. And then add new materials, folders, etc. Right? So we have all these general folders, right? That if we were to import anything into here, it will basically be saved in their respective folders. Okay, so for meshes, we will basically save this into this meshes folder. Right, then we will go back to the brush settings again. Click on create static mesh. Expand CG399 your name, and then click on meshes. So in this static mesh name, we will change from box underscore brush underscore static mesh to floor tile. And create static mesh. So now static mesh or 3D mesh is being created from the brush. Okay. Okay, so if I want to have a larger area of the floor, right? What I can do is I can do a duplicate, right? To the left or to the front or to the back or to the right. Okay, so I will press Control Alternate, left click and drag to have a clone from this floor tile. Now, if you don't want to snap too much, right? Or rather, you want to snap more, right? You can actually change the snap option from 10 to maybe 100. Okay? Then you control alternate, left click and drag, right? So that it snaps at a further distance. Okay? Okay, maybe I just repeat it slowly again, right? For Yimin and who and someone else I can't remember who. And Regina. Yes, please repeat. Okay, so right in this panel, right, go to geometry. Geometry tab basically are all the standard primitive brushes that you create from Unreal, right? So for floor tiles, for example, if you want to fill the whole room with floor tiles, I will make use of box brushes to do it. So I'll go to Geometry tab and left click and drag out. Now I want to make changes to pivot location so that it is not at the center now, right? So in order for me to move the pivot point over to snap at one of the vertices, right? I need to activate the brush editing mode over here, right? So as you can see now, this tab is being enabled with edit being selected, right? Selected mode. Then after that, you'll be able to click on any vertices where pivot points will snap. Now to save it, right, is basically just right click right, on the mesh, and then go to pivot and set as pivot offset. This will basically, right, prevent it from going back to the center when you deselect and select it again. So now let me demonstrate, right? If I didn't set this as a pivot offset, what happened is this. So right now, when I click on the pivot points over here, you can see that the pivot is snapped, right? So if I accidentally maybe click on this floor tile and I go back to click on this cube again, can you see that it has resettled back to the center? So that's the result of not saving the pivot point at that location, right? So you will need to click it, and then you'll need to right click, right? And then after that, you will need to set as pivot offset. So now when I click on this floor tile and I click back to this cube again, the pivot points is now being pinned, right, to this location where I set as pivot offset. Okay, so now I will then go ahead to create static mesh, right? Because otherwise I cannot import it over to 3D Max. But ideally, you create static mesh before you go to 3D Max to be better. There are other alternatives, but I think I'll just stick to this mesh. Okay, you can also use in brush mode and then export out as a whole environment, but let's get to that later. Okay, so to create static mesh, right, basically you go to this brush settings panel over here, right? It is hidden, so you need to expand it by clicking on this show advanced. And then there will be this button that says create static mesh. So once you click on this button, it will ask you where you want to save. So still remember earlier, right, I told you all to create a main folder with subfolder, right? So by doing so, you'll be able to locate the meshes folder, and then maybe just put a name like temporarily box, right? Press create static mesh. So now I can see that the vertices are gone. You cannot edit this anymore because it's not a brush. It is now converts into a mesh. So the only way to adjust this shape would then be in 3D Max. Okay, so how do we do this in 3D Max, right? We will do it this way. Okay, so now we will right click on this box, tab box, click on Asset Action, and click on Export. Right now, we will go back and then click on Meshes folder, right, and use back the same name, tab box, and hit save. Okay, so I tried. Still, there's no difference even if I use 2018. So we just stick with defaults would do. Right, then we can disable vertex color, level of details, collision, morph target, all disabled. All disabled. Okay, then press export. Okay, then after that, we will go to the demo over here, right? Demo folder. Go to content and meshes, right? Go to your location and then import it into 3D Studio Max. Okay, am I going too fast? Oh, wow, really? I'm going too fast. Okay. All right. Okay. Export only, right? Okay. Okay, class. I want you to tell me whether you all understand how to create static mesh. Yeah, don't need to repeat the static mesh. action. Static mesh, no problem, right? Okay, good. Okay, good. Okay, now to export into a 3D Max, what you need to do is you go to the meshes folder, which is where you save this static mesh. Okay, left click to select this temporary box or the temporary mesh, the mesh that you created just now. Right click, go to Asset Action, and select Export. Click on this. Then after that, you will go back to the meshes folder, right, and save it in the same folder. Use back the same name. Okay. So since I already saved a version, okay, I'll just go through. Okay, so I just save it here, right? I will replace it. Then when I replace this option box pops up, right? Okay, so I didn't paint any vertex color, I didn't do any level of detail, I didn't do any of these basically. So basically I'll just disable all, right? Uncheck all of them. And then I will export. It will then reflect in my Window Explorer over here. Okay, now I go back to the 3D Studio Max and I would import. Okay, so over here you can see that in tri format tries, they are in tries, they are not in quad. Polygons are in tries, not in quad. Okay, so what I will do is, okay, then I shall wait for you to open up 3D Studio Max. By dragging in, right, you will have to reset it back to 00 again. Yep, better to just import. Yeah, it's on the pivot point, correct? Right, so if you place your pivot points correctly, right, your object should be at, the object's pivot point should be at the 00 position. Okay? Okay, anyone needs more time to open out your 3D Studio Max? No, okay, good. So now I want to not have tries, I want it to be quad, right? So that I can move lesser points, right? Or lesser faces, okay? Even if I extrude, right, I have more control, right? Instead of having tries. So I want to convert this into, I want to convert all the polygon faces from tries to quads. How do I do it? Right? Okay, class. Pay attention, Okay, first of all, when you import any 3D meshes from Unreal, it is in the editable mesh format, which is actually a legacy format. But the reason why it exists is because all the 3D software are using this common language, right? This common format. So hence, it is not totally removed yet. So from Unreal, it actually imported here as editable mesh. We want to convert it into an editable poly like this. So once we right click on the object and convert it into editable poly, we will then have the option, or rather the ability, right, the function to convert tries into quad by making use of this ribbon tool over here, right? Once you open up this ribbon tool, show full ribbon, right? And then select this geometry all and select quadrify all. Okay, although you think that it's as simple as this, right? However, if it comes to more complicated objects, right, it may not perform as accurately. That is because you are still in editable mesh mode, okay? You will need to transform this to editable poly in order for it to. Okay, after you change, then you will need to go to the modeling tab, right? The modeling tab over here. If you are in like freeform selection or other, right, you will not be able to see that. Okay, so it must be in modeling, and then you have to go to geometry bracket all. Click on this and hit quadrify all. Okay, so now let's probably make some changes to it, right? So for example, I use the edit poly, and maybe I do a extrude. I know you are all looking forward to this extrude thing. Okay, then maybe I just do some simple definition like this, right? So assuming this building looks like this. Okay, now I will export this new object out and import it back to Unreal. So these are the steps. Okay, so class, please pay attention. Now go to File, Export Selected. Back to your meshes folder, overwrite the temp and press. Okay, floor tile also can, right? It's up to you. Okay, you have to redo again. Usually you will not. I think the floor tile, I'm not sure how you do it actually, because the floor tile basically is just a box. It shouldn't have any. Yeah, maybe you screenshot. Let us. Okay, anyway, let's proceed on to exporting it out, right? So smoothing groups must be enabled. Tangents and binormals, yeah, enable. But the rest I think can just remain as default. Okay, then after that you will press OK. Now, when you press OK, Unreal will ask a change your source content file has been detected. Would you like to import it? Press import. Okay, by right, the box should change, should be updated. Okay, let me finish this first, then after that maybe I repeat the process again. Okay, let's do finish everything first so that the students already here don't just keep there for a while, right? Don't lose the momentum. Okay, so why is the box not updated, right? We will need to double click on the static mesh and double check if right, the import settings, right, double click on the mesh, go to import settings, and see whether the file path is been defined. Right now it isn't, for some reason it's not, right? Then you just need to browse for a new source path, double click on this sandbox, and click on this re-import. Click on this re-import mesh, right? So now you can see that this mesh is being updated over here. Then when you close it, right, you can see that it has been updated in your scene as well. Right, so for Raphael, right, like for example, right now if I want to export this floor tile, yeah, so if I import this floor, export out this floor tile, which is this, right, I will right click, go to Accept Actions, Export, follow the name, floor tile, and click Save. Export, go to 30 Max, File, Import, and click on this floor tile. Everything remains by default and click OK. So you can see here the exporting is only exporting out this. I'm not sure how come you export it out that way. It could probably you have edited the brushes somehow, right? It has edited the brushes somehow. Okay, later I will teach you how to edit the brushes, right? In Unreal. Okay, never mind, right? Very hard or not to me being there physically to troubleshoot. Okay, anyway, right? This is how you basically connect the link, right, from Unreal to 3D Max. Then you may just adjust it accordingly. Okay, another way to do it is this, right? You will basically block out your stage in Unreal, right? Okay, let me finish it first. Okay, for those who have trouble, right, maybe you can just create another floor tile again. Maybe for some reason you edited the tile and got some problems, right? So, for example, another building, I would probably use a cone to do it. All right, another maybe cylinder. Okay, now to edit brushes, right? To edit brushes. Okay, Karius, never mind, right? We'll go through editing brushes, then after that we do the exporting again. Okay. So now, if I already created this environment, for example, with all these boxes over here, I already created this environment, right? And want to export out, right? I can export the whole environment into 3D Max without exporting it one by one. Okay. I will teach you how to do it, but before that, right, I will share with you how tedious it is, right, to edit in Unreal. Okay, so for example, right, we still go back to the edit mode, right? By extruding, right, you will need to turn this gizmo to local. Then click on the face, right? Click on the face. Then after that, click on this button called extrude. just need to left click and drag to extrude like this. Right. So for example, if I want to do like an arc, I can do something like this using the extrude. If I want to add an edge, right, like connect button, right, in the connect function in 3D Max, I need to click on this edge, which is relatively hard to click. I think I clicked it already. Did I? Yeah, then click on this button called split, right, in order to create a loop across this mesh. Right, so this is why I said that it is actually very tedious trying to adjust the geometry in Unreal. However, you can, if let's say this kind of big basic shapes, you still can do it right in Unreal quickly. But if you were to do like more intricate details, like what you would want to do in 3D, it is very troublesome. So same thing, right? I will reset this pivot point to over here. Right click, pivot, set as pivot offset. And I will create this. No need to create static mesh. Okay, and this as well. Okay, let me try if I can export out without static mesh. Okay, so I have all these objects. I don't think can. I think need to convert first. Okay, let's go to File and Export Selector. Right, go back to your meshes folder, and this time we will type environment and we'll save. Then 3D Max. Right, you have all the objects being arranged in 3D Max. However, as you can see here, right, those that are still in brushes mode, right, you can see that the pivot points are somehow different, right, from those that is already being converted to static mesh. Still remember this floor tile, right? Remember this floor tile, right? The pivot point is over here, right? Whereas the this arc which I created in brush mode, the pivot point is still at 0, 0 position instead of the object corner. So same thing for this, right? This building over here, the pivot point is basically locked here already, right? So yes, you can export the whole stage in over here without converting back to without converting them to static mesh. However, the pivot points would then be not accurate, and this basically will not be able to import and export from 3D Max to Unreal, Unreal to 3D Max correctly, right? It can still be successful because you are basically now based on the pivot points that is away from the 0, 0 position. This is no good, right? This is no good. You would want your mesh to be snapped to one of the vertices, right, of that mesh as much as possible, right? So hence, you will need to convert all this. Oh yeah, Boolean. Okay, if you are talking about Boolean, right? Boolean, yeah, okay, yeah, this is what I missed out. Okay, if you want to Boolean, for example, this you want to Boolean. Right, so for example, I want this shape to subtract from this shape. Okay, so what I do is, right, it's not auto. Right, you need to click on this cone brush and then go back to brush settings and change the brush to subtractive. It's not working. Something wrong with it. You see a brush, right? Yeah, I'm not sure what happened to the cone. Cannot. Right, but sphere, as you can see over here, right, is able to subtract like this. Acceleration, you basically just increase by make it round, right? So, okay, now good question about Boolean. Okay, so if you were to make this into a static mesh, you will need to select both brushes, right? Select both brushes and then create static mesh, right? So same thing, go to, oh no, first of all, sorry, one more thing. Make sure that the pivot point is where you want to snap, okay? So if it's here, then when you convert to static mesh, it will be here. Okay, so then you will create static mesh, go to the meshes folder, just rename it as sculpture, right? Then it will be a static mesh. Okay, next would be this arch. Right, so same thing. I will convert this to static mesh. Okay, now I have 4 objects over here. Right, I could quickly select them in the world outliner. Let me reset my scene. Okay, then I would export selected. Right, select them all, export selected, override my environment FBX. Go to 3D Max and reopen them again. So now, as you can see here, right, it's basically the pivot points are actually in their own respective of fixed position or designated position, right? So, for example, if I were to make adjustment, Okay, class, this one have to pay note, because right now, right, a bit complicated now, so I want you to pay attention here. Okay, so when you import this object back to Unreal, you have to make sure that this object, right, is at its 0, position in 3D Max. Otherwise, it will take the pivot points from here, right? It will take the pivot points from here. Okay, let me demonstrate. For example, if I didn't reset this object to 0, what happens is this. Right, so I export out this. These are up, right? Save. Come back here. Right. Remember this up position is here, right? Remember it's still within the floor tile, right? So it is now not resetted yet in terms of the location, right? So I'll go to import settings, go to set import data, and set the source file to be over here. Re-import base mesh again. Right now you can see that the position has moved, right? Has shifted, right? Because the pivot points is based on 3D Max 0, axis. So what should you do now? Okay, now you should, right, in this location, basically they are, basically you just need to reset this back to the 0, position. Okay, so once you reset this to its 0, right, and then do all the adjustment over here, right, including Fortify, and maybe you add some more details and maybe extrude. Maybe something like that. Oh. So now I overwrite it. Okay, so because the link has already been established, so now whenever I click on import, right, it will basically reflect the new change immediately back to here. Right. So hence, right, having said that, that means that you will be doing the to and fro, right, from Unreal to 3D Max, 3D Max to Unreal, and things like that. So when you do your concept at that time, right, you'll make use of this Unreal scene, which you block out, export everything out, right, as a scene, then go to 3D Studio Max and just do the use the toon shader to create the outlines and then produce your concept art from there. Right? Any questions? Green for what? Oh, okay. Okay, so for example, the link, right? Okay, I will repeat that one. Okay, so this structure I haven't imported yet, right? I haven't established the link yet, right? So let me export out this structure, right? This structure is basically this, right? Same thing, huh? So I will right click, accept actions, export structure, press save. export. In 301 Max, I will basically import it here. Okay. Alright, so my sculpture is here. Actually, just now have, right? Okay, never mind. Okay, so the sculpture is here. Right, so I will convert it to editable poly, portraify it. In this case, you see, right, it has now more complicated subdivision. So the portraify may not work correctly. You see, now it didn't work correctly. So it didn't work as perfect as you thought it would be. Then after that, go to File, Export, Select, Replace Sculpture, yes. Right, then press OK. Then back to Unreal. It asks you whether you want to import, although even you press import, but it didn't show or reflects because the exact location somehow is not set. Then after that, you will need to double click on this file. Right, scroll all the way down to import setting, this tab. Expand the exact import data, and then on source file, click on this button, three dot button, and then you will double click sculpture and hit and press this re-import base method. Press this. There's no change, is because I didn't make any changes to it. Right, so when you close this, when you close this, after you make any changes, it will basically reflect. So if I make any changes and I save back the file, right, you can go back to Unreal, import, it will reflect instantly. Okay, so the workflow is this, is like that one. Okay, then in 3D Max, right, you have all these models, right? I want you to save these as a scene. Okay, I want you to save this as a scene. So when you create, okay, never mind. Later for the normals, I will talk about it. Okay, so when you are going to save this as a project, right? Go to File, Project, Create Default. So you will basically select this folder and then save your scene file into it. Right, so your project folder, right, should look like this. Right, where it is a combination of both Unreal and 3D Max folders. Okay, so regarding the submission formats, I already uploaded as mentioned. Right, to your shared assets folder. It's over here, submission sample. Right, see the structure is the same. The only thing that is different, right, is this. Pay attention here, guys. Is that the content, right, instead of the default. Oh, I think the default is not this. I actually updated already, right? You should creates the way that I have created just now. I think it's tidier this way. Right, so as long as you follow how I create my, these kind of folders, right, then it's okay. Then you're on the right track. Okay. So you have a one main folder and you have all the subfolders inside it. Okay, so for some reason, the enormous split after, okay, one by one, Raphael asked, for some reason, normal split after Portify. Okay, that's fine. It's because they have different ways of translating the normals, because UE4 translate normals is a bit different from, especially when you do the Boolean, right? Especially when you do the Boolean. So it works a bit different. That's fine. Okay, because eventually, when you import it over here, right, it's the one that that matters, right? Usually, right, because when you first export it to back to 3D Max, right, it will do everything in 3D Max already, right? Whatever adjustment you do in 3D Max, basically you import it over to Unreal, not the other way around anymore, right? So as long as the imported file, right, from 3D Max, it looks correct in Unreal, right, then it's fine, it's okay. Right, Raphael, do I answer the question? Okay, while Raphael is digesting, I will basically ask about Gordon on. Seems okay. Yeah, it's just dark, but it is not flipped. Okay, it's just dark, it's not flipped. Okay, for a class, right, if let's say you find that it's very awkward, right, you can add in a skylight. Add in a skylight. Ah, you mean the stretching issue is normal? It's UV. Yes, correct. It's just fixed. You cannot change the pivot points anymore after it's static mesh. However, you can change it in 3D Max, but that would mean that you will need to rearrange it again in Unreal. Because in Unreal, right, it basically takes the position at 0, 0, right? So hence, if let's say you were to snap the pivot points at the center and reset this object back to 0, 0, you would need to rearrange it in Unreal. Okay, any other questions? So hence, right, in 3D Max, you actually do not need the whole environment. The whole environment is basically used to make the concept. That's all. Okay, it's basically used to make the concept. So hence, when you do the layer that time, right, when you rearrange your props in 3D Max that time, make sure that all your props are in their own 0, 0 position. I need to say, right, in this case, the floor tile, the arch, the sculpture, and the temporary box, all these should be flush to the 0, 0 position, right? Like this, before you export it out back to Unreal. Okay, otherwise the pivot points would shift. Or rather, the object will shift based on the adjusted pivot point. Okay, right. After you finish adjusting, then after that, if it's you can scale in Unreal, right, without exforming it. But if you scale anything here, you have to exform. You have to do a reset exform. But yeah, but back to your question earlier, right? When you asked which method is better, right? Exporting the whole environment in 3D Max or 1x1 to 3D Max. Okay, ultimately, right, it's the same. Ultimately, it's the same, right? Because if you export the whole environment into 3D Max, right, you will still need to reset all the objects back to their 0, 0 position, right, like this. So if you export 1x1, it's still going to look like this, right? Okay, anything else? Yeah, the pivot thing, once you convert to create certain image, you cannot change the pivot position again. So for the set default project, just upload everything to Android. Oh yeah, the project, right, you need to zip up. Yeah, to Android. I think it's more convenient for both of us. I changed. Okay. I will update on the submission format again. Yeah, good question. I updated the 125.130. I forgot to update the 399 one. Okay. Next week I'll update on the submission formats again. Okay. Yep. Any other questions? But yes, you need to submit to Android. Right, you need to submit to Android. Yeah, this is also one issue. If let's say corrupted, then I may ask you all to resubmit to your OneDrive or something. No, but I need the zip drive. I need the zip to be in our N drive also. That's for audit purposes. Right. So in the event that if let's say someone check and say how come I give an A, but your file is not there, then it's very hard for me to explain. Yeah. You put it in zip file and then upload, I think should be okay. Okay, never mind, Aloysius. I will show you later after everything, after the class has officially ended. Okay, sorry for some of you, right, who wanted the class to end on time, but I actually exceeded by 30 minutes, right? Okay, sorry about it. Hope you all don't mind, right? Try to be on time next week. Okay, so now we just do a placeholder scene upload. Yes, you all can just do a placeholder scene and upload as a zip to N drive. If you want me to see, yes, you can do that. Or for this kind of temporary assessment, right, consultation purposes, you can even upload to your OneDrive, right? Then I will download it from there. You don't need to go through the N drive. Okay, it's just for the purposes that submissions, right? Those official submissions need to be inside N drive. But for the blockout, yes, kind of like you will need to zip out the whole folder and put it up for the MS3 submission. Okay. Any other questions? Okay, if not, yeah, if you have any questions with using the software, you can arrange a consultation with me to ask. Yeah. And if the questions becomes repetitive, right? We may just arrange a short session to address the whole class. Okay, but for now, right, the main idea. But short session, I'm also not sure which one should I emphasize on. Okay, I just remembered, actually, I haven't touched on removing the gun and the arrow, the crosshair yet. Next week, I will show you, I think, too many things already, this lesson. Next week, I will show you how to remove the gun as well as the crosshair. Yeah. Okay. So if no question, then we shall end today's lesson. So for what next lesson do we need to prepare? Prepare yourself, lor. Yeah. And also, I hope to see your research as soon as possible. Okay. Yeah, no problem. You're welcome. Okay. Yeah, yeah. Okay. Okay. Thanks all for the inputs as well, because you know that I don't have TA for this class. So thanks for Anthea, Karius, Raphael, and others, right, who will actually help out in typing out the answers for the rest who are blurred, or rather are not really following closely because due to lag or some installation problem. Okay. Thanks for all of you. Okay, yeah, that's it.